Hey everybody, what's going on? Welcome back, it's Jordan here. Today we're going to continue working on the Lego City. First thing I did this morning was clean up my studio space upstairs here. It's funny, I was here on the weekend, I cleaned it up, and then I proceeded to work and make a huge mess. And then I left the building and I was like, no, I'm not going to clean that up. I'm just going to clean it up when I get here on Monday. And then I came here today and I'm like, man, it's a disaster in here. So I proceeded to tidy it up. And then I got my little friend going here, the robotic vacuum. So he's doing all the dirty work for me. So that's good. Making sure the carpet's all nice and clean. Excellent. So yeah, I want to continue working on the city. And that of course is down there. It's still a little bit of a mess down there. And I was thinking there was a solution to that. What I want to do is actually go by 3 of the Sterilite drawer units. That's going to be 9 drawers total. So these drawers right here, because they come in stacks of 3 and they're modular, so you can stack them. So if I get 3 more of those, that's going to give me 9 units that I can use down here. Because what's happening is if I'm working on a specific project down here, well then I bring the dark bluish gray plate and the dark bluish gray brick and the dark bluish gray slopes down here. And then I put them on these tables, and it would be nice to have a drawer unit that I can use to temporarily store those parts away. Because for example, I've got the 2x4 bricks here, and the 2x2 bricks, and the 2x light bluish gray bricks. And then over here, I've got 2 double stack tables with all of the stuff for the ocean water, so the blues and the blacks. And then there's more of the rock work building stuff down here. Maybe it would be best to have the parts down here, but I still think it's best to have it up there. Because for example, if I were to have the parts along that wall, it might be pretty cool. You know, it might be pretty cool if the parts are there, I guess. But when I get the majority of like this stuff done, which will be a long time from now, I guess, the Lego City stuff, I plan on doing the majority of the building up there. So for example, if I plan on building a massive mountain on 6 base plates, well, I'm just going to build the mountain up there, and then I'll bring the mountain down here and place it in the Lego City, because it's all going to be on its own like modular mills plate. And the concept was down here is going to be a showroom, and there will be none of this mess down here. All the mess will be up there where it can be concealed from the camera, even though it seems like it's down here anyway. Maybe I should bring the parts down here. I don't know. I don't think this is enough space for all of those parts. I like having the parts on that long wall. And I don't think it's the end of the world just having temporary drawer units and wheel tables down here, because in all honesty, it's not hard to just bring all the parts that you require down here and store them away. But I do need a better storage system for when that does happen. So I need to decide what I want to work on here today. I could continue working on the canal, but the parts are on order. They haven't arrived yet for the water detailing, so I can't really do anything with that because none of the parts are here. The 1x4 arches, the tiles are here, but I need the 1x4 arches. The plates to do the water detailing not here, so I can't do that. I did go to the pick and build wall the other day at the Lego store, and I bought a bunch of black 1x and 2x plate, and I bought a bunch of 3x3 dark blue plate, so I can actually start to detail the water here. Just get that first layer of plate down on top of the base plate. So that's probably something that I could take care of today. I also bought a bunch of 2x2 dark bluish gray brick, and I have a bunch of dark bluish gray slopes, so I can start doing this cove, start making the cove. And the other day, 500 of the dark bluish gray tiles arrived, the 2x4s. I bought these for the train track, but then I realized I actually need more, because the ones for the train track are going to complete these tiled off lines all the way back here behind the amusement park to where the train is. So I need the tiles for that. But now I've discovered that I also need the tiles for filling in all of these open spaces in the boatyard. So I could use a lot of those tiles to tidy that up as well. And then I also want to change up the width of some of these, and also the width of these as well. So maybe make these docks a little bit narrower, use the 8 by road plates rather than the 16 by road plates, so they're narrower, and then also increase the width of them so we can fit 2 of the larger boats side by side in some of these areas. So I decided to make the docks dark gray rather than like a brown, because I feel like a brown, like a wooden dock, is more so like a, you know, like a little neighborhood dock where you park these little boats. But this is more like an industrial shipping yard, so that's why I decided to go with the dark gray. Plus I had a lot of those dark gray plates that you build the roads with. And the piers where the boats actually park are very easy to move around because they're just on base plates, so I can just peel them off and move them around. And after moving them around quickly, I'm pretty happy with their positions. They're not all the same width. That's like the actual water space between the piers. And I've got a whole bunch of stuff that's stowed away for the train yard, such as an overhead crane, control tower. There's like that old school crane as well for loading boats. And I want to try to modify and place some of that stuff in the harbor here today. This overhead crane here came from one of the Lego City train sets that I have, and I actually modified it quite some time ago by just completing this building here. It is lacking some interior details, and I think it can be significantly improved. So I'm going to sit up here by all my parts and just try and make this thing better. So right now I've got it on some 16 by 16 plates. I'm probably going to expand that so it's 48 studs. I'll add a third plate so it stretches all the way across. And then of course I'll add the crane part. And I'm going to try and make this like somewhat modular so I can just go place it in the train yard. That's the key, is to get all this stuff placed before I like tile off everything and start finalizing what it looks like over there. Because of course I'm going to need this structure and many more. Plus like a bunch of mini builds and things that you would find in a harbor / train yard. More will be added to this mock and also in the surrounding area once it's actually placed in the train yard. I don't want to spend like an entire day building this crazy thing because I've got a lot of work to do down there yet. But at least this has been upgraded a little bit. So I fixed this overhead crane so now it reaches across and the spacing should be right. I built this part of it as well, so you've got the track so it'll be able to glide back and forth, and I'll tack that down right to the available studs on the road plates. The roof pretty much remains the same. I just added like a little AC or heating unit and an antenna there. Nothing too crazy. I should probably upgrade that. But like I mentioned, I don't want to just do this all day. I've got the yellow and black like border going around the base of it, just with tiles. And then I put some miscellaneous items out here. And then I upgraded the structure as well. I added a white line going around the top that matches the bottom. The jumpers go over the windows. I added glass to the windows. I fixed up these windows, added some glass to them and swapped them out for the white ones, the smaller ones. And then in the interior, I added some details such as 2 working stations. So there's a desk there and a desk there with computers. We've got the swivel chairs with the brackets, so they've got armrests as well. And then there's some drawer units underneath those windows that I added using some bricks with the forward-facing studs. I put a clock there as well. I figured maybe they have like a no parking sign that they put out once in a while, so I hung it on the wall there by the door. There's a newspaper below that, and then there's a trash can and a bin right there. And just above that, there's a photo as well. And then right here, there's some life preservers or like high-vis vests on top of that little cabinet. I started tiling it off in the dark tan color, but unfortunately I just don't have a whole lot of like 1x dark tan stuff. So I've got a bunch of 2x, but I don't have a whole lot of 1x. Most of what I have is like jumpers, and I don't really want to use jumpers because that would just be weird. There'd be like random studs everywhere. So I'd like to tile off the entire thing in dark tan, but for now I'm just going to leave it because this will get worked on again in the future. And the whole yard could be tiled off as well, maybe in like some different colors, add some greebling of like light and dark gray just so it breaks up that dark gray color out there. But at least it's like a nice bright structure, and that in itself will help break up the color. There's the sign there and also some overhead lighting, and the roof will just pop on like so. And I think that's a pretty neat structure. I think it'll look cool once we get it placed, and this overhead crane is going over top of one of the train tracks. And with that placed, I'm pretty happy with the outcome. I do think that there needs to be a little bit more color added to this area, but that's what mini builds like this are for. And there's gonna be mini builds all over the place just to try and break up this dark gray color and of course add some pretty cool details. We've got this crane right here as well. So this one actually is an old school set, and there's these really neat plates. So this ramps up here, it goes a little bit higher, and this is gonna be for loading cargo onto boats. This was paired up with a boat, and this here suffered a major damage during the move. Something really bad happened. It was actually set up by my big wood pile when it was over there, and I had some large sheets of melamine leaned up against the wall there. And when I was trying to move that stuff on my own, I accidentally tipped over one of the sheets, and it came down like a karate chop. And unfortunately, this was right beside it, this like old school boat. And it got karate chopped by a piece of melamine. And it got destroyed. Some of the pieces even broke. Yeah, it was not good. Luckily for me, all of the pieces that did suffer major damage are common pieces that can be replaced. So next time I have some help here, I'm actually going to get somebody to rebuild this for me using the instructions and just picking all the pieces from the inventory. And then once I have this rebuilt, it'll actually make sense when it's underneath this crane, because it is a cargo boat, not a exploration ship, because you're not really going to be loading much cargo onto this boat. So I'll actually have a cargo boat, which will make sense with this crane. And I think that'll look pretty cool over here. I like the bright red color of it, pretty neat. And then we'll have to add some more cranes and more cargo and stuff on here. So I was actually taking care of some other stuff here this morning. I was filming a very specialized video clip for a certain company, so that took a long time. And now, it's lunchtime. I had some peanut butter and toast. Yeah, I'm pretty basic like that. Let's detail one of these base plates with the water. So I've got a whole bunch of black plate and also dark blue. So I'm gonna lay that in just a random order. I'm thinking this is deep water. Dark blue, black, makes sense. Now I gotta order a whole bunch of 1x2 light trans blue tiles. We're talking like 20,000 of them, 9 cents a tile, 1,800 bucks. Pretty wild. I've got a whole bunch of cheese slopes and 1x4 dark trans blue tiles that I found on the pad wall. So I'm just thinking to myself, why not test it out, see how that looks? So I'm using a combination of the 1x4 dark trans blue tiles and also the cheese slopes. Pad wall finds, like, can't beat the price. Incredible. And you know what? I think a combination of those two pieces might look like the deep blue sea. I think it just sort of works. And also the cheese slopes add a really nice texture that sort of make it wavy. Sure, in some areas we could increase the height of those waves, but I think the texture of it looks really cool, and the color of it looks like the deep blue sea because we have that underlying plate there as well. So I'm sort of digging this. I don't know. I think it's pretty cool. You know, at first I really wasn't sure how I felt about this, but I think it looks pretty sweet for like the deep water. Doesn't that look cool? It's got like a really nice texture and sort of like glimmer to it, especially in the lighting that we have here in the studio. And of course I could add some bigger waves using some of the 2x2 slopes, similar to what I've done over here in the shallows. But man, I think the dark trans blue sort of works, and it pretty much feels like it's free to do. And I've got a lot of water plates in the harbor, so I feel like that's gonna save cost, and it just looks different than the water over here. Why make it all the same? Here's a great example. So this is a comparison. This is the black and dark blue underlying plate. There's also some regular blue in there as well, but that is the difference between the light and dark, which I think makes sense for the deeper areas. Maybe what I should do is add a little bit more of the regular blue in here. You can see like one stud of it right there. There's just a few studs, not very many at all, but maybe it'll brighten it up a little bit. But I actually sort of dig that. Like, I wasn't sure at first with the small test subject of just like, you know, like a 6x6 area, but after seeing an entire base plate done, I think that looks pretty cool. And then of course, like I was saying in an earlier video, once I actually take the boats and I place them here, I can try and put them in like an action pose and have like spray coming out the back. but I'd probably have to like dig out all the tile around the boat just to sink it down a little bit in the water. That would be quite the process. What I should do is figure out where I'm going to position the boats first and then work on tiling around them. I actually did that with the sailboat back in the day. You can see the sailboat right there. And there's no underlying plate or tile underneath it. So it's somewhat sunken in the water. Like, it's not perfect. Quite a bit of effort has to go into it, just making sure it's, you know, in the base plate like that. And the problem is once you do that, you can't really move the boats around. If you're like, ooh, I don't like the position of that one there, I'd rather put it over there. Then you're sort of like pigeonholed into keeping it in that position because you've put so much time and effort into integrating it into the water in that position. So I need to decide whether or not I want to keep going with this, if I like this, if I want to transition into something else and just call this a test subject for the day. Maybe continue working on the train yard back over there. Start placing some of these dark gray tiles. Well, here we go. This is going to be super satisfying. Placing hundreds of 2x4 tiles on road plates, filling in all of those open spots. Oh, that is just such a relief. It was a sight for sore eyes, but now it's actually looking pretty good. The only place where I'm not going to do it is in the sections where the train track are, because it's inset a little bit, and I think the train track is going to be built so it actually fills in that whole space, like the entire 16 studs. Be able to add some really cool detail within the train track. So for now, I'm just going to leave those out. And if I ever have to expose these studs again, for example, pop out a tile and put a 2x4 plate in there so I can actually attach some things, that's an easy change that I can make in the future. That was definitely a good call because it looks a lot better. Just so much cleaner. Like, that is awesome. You know what else is going to add a lot of color to this area? Sea cans. I can take this design and sort of modify it, improve it a little bit, and then make ones that are red, yellow, blue, green, and put like a big stack of them somewhere in here. I think that'd look really cool. Now, this is something that came with a Lego City train set, and it's all right. It's like a control tower. It's missing the red light right now. It's got a really neat play feature that can sort of rotate back and forth. I think it needs an upgrade, and I can make it look better and then place it right there. I like the concept of it. Let's make it better. You want to see something funny? Here we go. It's Lego building at its finest. When in doubt, rather than digging through the bin, pour out the bin so you can find out where those pieces are. Pull out the entire drawer. Go for a dig. Spill pieces absolutely everywhere. Leave the drawers wide open. Oh my gosh. It was neat and tiny when I first got here. That's the first thing I did, right? And it no longer is. I'm trying to think, where did I leave that tower that I was going to show you? I just rebuilt it. Oh yeah, it's right here. So I actually widened it. So I had some more of these. You saw them on the other modded thing over there. So I grabbed those and I made it double wide. I wasn't able to make it double like deep just because I didn't have enough of these, but I was able to expand the tower up top as well. So this is the watchtower. Now I was trying to get away from using dark gray, but as you saw, all my slopes were poured out on the table there, like these big ones, and I just didn't have enough light gray or even red to do them, so I decided to make the roof dark gray. But this is pretty cool because now it's got 3 of the glass panels out front there. It still has the play feature with those lights. It's got the ladder. I put a little control panel outside the door, put some windows on the, or a window on the back and also a window on the side. And then there's those vents that are mounted there as well, which is pretty cool. Got some lights on either side of the window. And of course, this will just sit like that. And this is our massive control center for the train yard. Maybe massive is the wrong descriptor. Like, it's not huge, but it's definitely bigger than the existing one. And it has a closed back, which I'm pretty excited about. As for the interior details, there's a few screens and a coffee machine. I wouldn't have it any other way. You know what? Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to finish this here today because I've got to go watch the Edmonton Oilers take a crack at the Stanley Cup. But there it is placed in its potential home. I think that works. Pretty cool. Decent upgrade. I made the base for it light gray as well. And you know what? Thinking of it further, I should have made the base for this light gray as well, because that would just add a light gray there and take away from this dark bluish gray look. So maybe I'll have to do that as well. But look at that. We got the tiles placed. This has been modified and fixed up, so that's good. And then the control tower has been modified and fixed up as well. And also the water. Look at that. I think I should run with that? I still don't know. I think I'm going to. I think that's pretty cool. Oh yeah, then I also relocated some of these piers and moved the boats around as well, and I think I like that. So unfortunately, I won't be here tomorrow either because Mrs. Brixie's going for her second surgery. So I'm not sure when I'll be back in the studio. But either way, let's go watch this hockey game. It's going to be incredible. Oh my gosh. When am I going to edit this video is the big question. Am I going to be able to do it after the hockey game? I don't know. That's a big ask. Because either I'm going to be super sad or like on cloud nine, woo, ready to give her, you know? Cannot wait to watch this game. I have been waiting for this since 2005 and 6 when it was the Stanley Cup final against the Carolina Hurricanes. And unfortunately, the Oilers lost. So I've never seen the Oilers win a Stanley Cup. It's been a long time. And this is like a record-breaking run at the Cup because the series was 3-0 Florida. Now it's 3-3. It's just nuts. Oh my gosh. What a time to be alive.